Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Lord. The Athletic recently did a piece, and they went through all 30 teams, and they gave who is the most likely player to be traded. And ours, I think, is the least surprising. We've been talking about this on so many different segments, and we'll continue to talk about it leading up to the trade deadline because it just makes too much sense. And it's Vaughn Grissom, the 22-year-old. Didn't have the greatest first stint at shortstop at the major league level. There are definitely questions about whether he will stick at shortstop. The article said Braden Shoemake has overtaken him in the pecking order. I'm not going to say that because I think Vaughn Grissom's way more valuable but maybe at shortstop, because if you can't play it defensively, you can't play it defensively, and you just can't even be in the pecking order because you're not a shortstop. So I wouldn't really say that Braden Shoemake's better by any means because he's not. Vaughn Grissom's a way better player. The problem is, as we said though, you can't play shortstop, and you gotta beat out Orlando Arcia. Like, now that's a thing because he's got 3 years left on his deal and he's looked good. You got to beat him out, and we don't even know if you can play short. It's just there's nowhere for you, and your value is probably your highest right now. Go back if you want to make a splash. He's your best trade chip. This guy could get you a starter. Maybe it's a rental. This guy could get you a reliever. I mean, like, listen. I mean, you wrote about Josh Hader on the site. And the Bleacher Report did this. It was the dumbest thing I've ever read. The dumbest thing I've ever read. Ignacio Alvarez and Darius Fine for Josh Hader. If that got us Josh Hader, the Padres would just be like, no, screw this. We're going to just compete and try to go for it. Like, you think there's they actually have an option of just going for it and trying to re-sign him this offseason. They don't have to trade him. Like, they if they're out of it, they would like to, but that was so stupid. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, do you just look at 9 and 12 and not realize how bad Ignacio Alvarez I actually like? But still, for Josh Hader, give me a break. But if you actually wanted to make a true move for Josh Hader, you have to think Vaughn Grissom and then some prospects would actually get it done. I think something like that would get it done.
Yeah, the Padres have a loaded infield. They have a surplus of middle infielders, so I don't know how interested they would be in Vaughn Grissom. But we've been talking about this. The guy can play second base at the major league level. We saw it 2 years ago when Ozzie Albies went down with an injury. The bat is certainly there. The bat plays at the major league level. It's just the defense and finding a place for him. And he did fine at second base. There were struggles. There were growing pains. But when you're 21 years old, he was 21 years old during that time when he was playing. There's gonna be growing pains, you stick with them and you just keep battling. I think, I love the kid. I wish there was an obvious place for him in Atlanta. I really do believe him. Everybody talks great about him in the organization. He would fit in seamlessly. The problem is there's no seamless fit defensively. Orlando Arcia has been a stud defensively this year, and his bat has been, I think he's batting 289 or 288, something like that. So there really is no room for Vaughn Grissom. We're obviously not getting rid of Ozzie Albies. He's not going to play left field. You love to say, left field power situation.
He's not playing left
Vaughn
field.
Doesn't have that power.
He's not DH and he's not playing left field. Just get over
there's just no obvious pathway for him in Atlanta. And it's unfortunate because everybody seems to love the kid, including fans in the organization. He's obviously the most likely to be moved, not only because he's valuable, but also because there is just no place for him in Atlanta right now.
Listen,
unless, who knows? Unless he just, let's say we keep him and then he somehow beats Orlando Arcia out. He's a revelation defensively. He just, turns over a new leaf. We've never seen it. That would be the only way. And even then, if Orlando Arcia is batting 290, I don't know how,
I just don't think that's going to happen. But yes, if the Braves do think that's a possibility, they could hang on to him, and I would be just fine with that. And listen, if there was an opening at second base tomorrow for the Braves, I would put Vaughn Grissom right there and have no problem. He could be the starting second baseman for the Braves. He's just not as good as Ozzie Albies. You just happen to have maybe the best second baseman or a top 3 second baseman in the game. So it's just unfortunate. Vaughn Grissom would be a average, at least average, probably above average second baseman right now in the major leagues. I firmly believe that. So someone will go out there. He would be he's 22 years old. You go look at the top 100 prospects. He would be easily in the top 100 prospects if he didn't graduate prospect status, which he never would have done if there weren't a boatload of injuries. So you got to put that into perspective. This is your top 100 prospect trade chip, which has major league experience, has shown he can play at the major league level, maybe not at shortstop, but at second base. There's a lot of value in that. So if the Braves do want to make a splash, go like that. That is the most likely person to be traded. There's no doubt about it because they don't really have that much else that should interest team outside of AJ Smith-Shawver. And I'm almost positive they want to hang on to him. I highly doubt he is moved. So Vaughn Grissom, the guy that makes the most sense. And I would go out on a limb to say I expect him to be traded. I expect it. I would say it's.
See, I wouldn't go as far as expecting it. I will say that just, off the rip, firing from the hip opinion, I think the Braves aren't going to let him go unless it's for something that's like either, elite talent, an elite rental talent, or somebody with long-term control. I think he's too valuable as an insurance policy alone.
What else? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about here.
I just think they'll be like, are we sure we want to do this? They're
not gonna give him away, but we got to go to break. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk about a veteran tight end that the Falcons just re-signed going into training camp.